Good morning and welcome to On the Beat. My name is Kim Mastrofino, and with me today is Martin Chan and Joe Hildreth. Let's check in with the Beat team today to see how they're doing, because I know that they have updates for weather and community updates. So I guess let's check in with Martin first. How's it going, Martin?
Oh, hey, it's doing good. Today's Tuesday morning. Sunny, warm, spring-like, but it's in the 50s, I guess.
In the 50s. I'll take it.
Yes, that'd be good.
I think we're heading into spring. What do you think?
Sounds wonderful.
Oh, good. Well, I appreciate that update because it's good news to know that, it's gonna be 50 degrees. I'll have to take advantage of that later on.
Yep, same here.
Well, thank you, Martin.
Thank
Joe,
you.
how's it going with you?
I'm doing good and great to be here.
Well, it's great to have you on. It's good to see you. I know that you have some community updates for us, so would you like to share?
Yes. The Westerly Library is collaborating with the Frank Olin Center for an art show through the month of April. This event will be held in the Hoxie Gallery and will showcase artwork from individuals at the Olin Center and from members of our local community. A virtual art reception will be held on April 7th. More details to come. And also, please check out the calendar of events on the Westerly Chamber's website, and please remember to support our local community by shopping and dining locally.
Thanks for those updates. All great information. Just want to let you know that last year, the Westerly Library did collaborate with the Olin Center for the virtual art show. And before that, the year before, they did the autism art show. And it was wonderful because it wasn't just, individuals from the Olin Center participating in that. It was community members as well. And the artwork was amazing. So I am so looking forward to what's going to happen this year. So thank you for that information, Joe. You did a great job.
Thanks.
So now, you're welcome. So now it's time to introduce our very special guest. His name is Colin Donahue, and he's the owner of Printing Plus. So please welcome Colin.
Hello, everyone. Hi,
Hi.
Jen, Martin. Hi, Joey.
Hello.
How are
Hey,
you?
Colin.
Thanks for inviting me on your show.
Mm-hmm.
It's so nice to have you on. I know that you're very busy, so I do appreciate your time. I also just wanted to say congratulations, because I know you have celebrated 30 years of service, and I think that was in February. Is that correct?
That's correct. Thank you. I started in the spring of '91, just down the road, but next to Dick's World of Wines. So I've been on Main Street for 30 years. Been in the new building, I guess, for a little over 7. So yeah, I started in the spring of '91. I was 22. So
Wow.
it's been a long, exciting journey. And so, but thank you. 30 years does go fast.
Now, I have to ask before we get into the questions, where is your business located now? Because I remember it being on Main Street.
Sure. So it's so we're just down the road from our original location. We're at 179 Main Street. We're right along the river.
Okay.
We're in the building that used to be Susie Tire.
Oh, okay.
Across the street is next door is Elite Cleaners. Across the street, Marone Electric. A couple of businesses that have also been in business for a long time. So easy to find, standalone building. We have our own parking lot. So yeah.
That's great. And what a view you have.
Yeah, thanks. I had the camera. I thought maybe that the computer could be switched and I could have the river in the background because it's such a beautiful view. So I'm looking over the camera and I can see it. However, the flashback from the light was too much. I did a little test. So
Wow.
people just have to stop in and see how beautiful it is.
Exactly. Well, see, you can go out and kayak on the river on your lunch break.
Yeah, and I do. I'm actually more of I paddleboard.
Okay.
And well, you know what? This is probably really awkward to do, but I'm going to point the camera. But let's see. You can probably see my paddleboards right in the corner.
There you go. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Boy,
yeah,
that is a
so I work at the obviously at the end of the day, and not now because it's kind of cold, but throughout the summer, I go right out the back door and I paddleboard up behind the river or sometimes down the river.
nice, nice. And your building is a big building, so with lots of equipment to do the job. So that's good. I'm glad that you were able to get a bigger spot. So
It's a perfect refit. It used to be a tire store, so it had some office areas, so that worked out just perfect for our lobby. And because we do truck lettering and vehicle lettering, sometimes big trailers, we have a huge open space. So it really was a great repurpose of the building.
that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, I just want to let you know that our usual routine is that Martin and Joe conduct the interview questions, and so we're excited that you're on and to learn more about your business and everything that you're doing now. So, Joe, I do think you have the first question. You ready to go?
Yes.
All right.
Hey, Colin, for those new to the broadcast, can you tell us about yourself and how you became the owner and manager of Printing Plus?
Well, sure. Well, how did I become the owner and manager? Okay, so I'll have to go back quite a ways, I guess. When I first attended Stonington High School in 1982, there was a new course offered called Graphic Communications. We had an instructor, our teacher, if you will. He was actually the shop teacher, so he had no experience in the printing industry. So we all learned together. So I spent the next 3 years with all my spare time, study halls, lunch, in the print shop, and learning right alongside of my teacher. His name was Roger Robidoux. After that, After I graduated, I went to a trade school in Pawtucket, Rhode Island. Worked at a print shop. My instructor at Hall Institute in Pawtucket also owned a print shop. And right before I graduated, he asked me to come work for him, which was pretty much an honor because he had a lot of kids to choose from. And then I became homesick. I worked and lived in Pawtucket for a couple of years and really wanted to get back to the area I grew up in. So I came back to Westerly and worked at a couple of print shops. In the spring of '91, the owner of Printing Plus was already a small little copy shop when I I say I started it, but technically I bought it. So Washington Trust got a little loan and purchased it, and then here we are 30 years later. And time does go by fast. It's pretty amazing. And I think we have to get to a certain point in life, and then we look back and go, wow, that was really quick. Along the journey, I don't think we feel like time's going by fast. But that's how it all started. So it's funny. I'm still, I guess might be pretty rare, but I'm still doing what I started in 10th grade. The career I chose in high school is still what I'm doing today, which is always sort of a fun fact.
Wow, that's great to know.
Thank you.
Sounds like a good journey that you went on, and look where you are now. And you know what? It sounds like when you were in high school, you figured it out early, and so I think that's great.
Yeah, I feel really fortunate. The industrial arts was in the Stonington High School when I started it. In the Stonington High, when I went to Stonington High, it was 10th, 11th, and 12th. At the same time, the 9th graders came with us, so they added that course. And then 4 or 5 years after I graduated, they did take industrial arts out of the Stonington High School, and they said, we're really a college-bound high school. I feel very, very fortunate that it was there while I went, So
That's great.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Martin, would you like to take the next question?
Oh, yes. Hi, Colin. Can you describe the services you offer?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a lot of services. As I mentioned, when I started in the spring of '91, we just had a really small copy shop, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
We had a small press and just copies. We did do in '91. A little history. It's technically it's not pre-internet, but it really was, because it wasn't until about '94 where everybody sort of said, "Wow, I'm going to get an email." So when I first started, everything was all analog, and now everything's
Oh.
all yeah. So now everything's all digital. So somewhere in the late '90s, print print shops, all the trade magazines that we receive in the mail about printing companies said, look, if you think you're going to stay in business, you really have to open up your services. You're not going to be able to live on just printing or just copying. So it was around that point where we started to do signs and also wide format printing. So from there, it really sort of emerged into a service that would be better described as like graphic communication. So we can do lettering on vehicles. We do blueprints for architects and designers. We still send faxes. We do laminations, business cards, brochures. So really a full service print shop and copy shop that's now really just all digital. We still have some analog equipment because it's so economical to operate. But, so yeah, if I could say a really funny story. When I first started in 1991, my first fax machine, I had a loan from the Washington Trust. It was $2,700. By the time I got halfway through the loan, I had like duct tape holding it together, and eventually it had a thermo paper in there. I don't know if anybody's familiar with that. That's the sort of the paper that you use in a credit card machine. So super antiquated, and yeah, it was just under $3,000. So by the time I still had to pay for the loan for about a year and a half after it broke, and the next machine that I replaced was just half the cost. So yeah, so a lot of services, and I think I mentioned them, but full service print and copy center, and sign shop, and really sort of a wide format shop, which is multiple things. It's blueprints, it's also signs, it's banners, boat lettering, window lettering for storefronts. So yeah,
That's very interesting.
Yeah, thank you.
Fascinating.
The reason the trade magazines said you really need to open up your services, you need to do more things. The real pivotal point, and I don't know, Martin, you might be a little young for this, but J.C. Penney used to have a catalog that they would give away. It was a full color catalog. It was like 600 pages long, like 2 inches.
Wow.
Kim, you probably remember the catalog.
Yes.
J.C. Penney announced in like 1996, we're no longer going to print the catalog because of this really great thing we have called the internet. So the trade magazines, because that was just essentially one of the biggest printing jobs in the country.
That's interesting.
So they says, oh, here it is. It's over for the printing industry. You probably should do mailings or blueprints or signs or framing. They had all different suggestions on what to do to stay in business, and we chose signs and blueprints in wide format. Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting. Yeah, that's awesome.
History for you.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a quick question before Joe does his next question? So, what do you do most there?
That's funny. I often think about that, and there's a rhythm that happens in the shop, and it happens naturally. So, and it's probably a good thing, because if all the different departments and all the different services that we provide were busy at the same time, I'm not sure that we could get through the end of the day. So certain times a year, for instance, over the next 2 or 3 months, we're going to be very busy doing vinyl lettering on boats, on windows, storefront windows, and signs, where that type of business really slows down in the winter. Musquamacut and Watch Hill, before the broadcast, we were talking a little bit, they're not open all winter long, and then they have this really short season. So over the next 3 or 4 months, a lot of businesses will start up in those locations. And so the summer season ends, and we segue into the holiday season. So, after September, October, we start doing a lot of like Christmas cards and things related to, the holidays. So the wide format and the blueprint stays pretty steady all year, because I think there's always a house being built. There's always somebody that wants to put a shed up and they want to know their property lines, and engineers and designers and architects are always pretty busy around here. So we do have a steady flow of work there.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the other areas, there's an ebb and flow that sort of happens, and some of it is season related.
Great, thank you.
Sure.
Okay, Joe, you ready for the next one?
Yes.
Okay.
Can you tell us more about booklet making?
Okay, so Joe, if you're asking that question, you must have watched the live broadcast to the Ocean Community Chamber. So I'd love to tell you more about the booklet making, because that piece of equipment is very special. That one piece of equipment cost me more than 3 times the business cost me in 1991. So so the Booklet Maker is an add-on to our digital press. So when you buy a digital press, you really buy the engine, and then all of the other items that support that machine are a la carte items. We have a pretty good booklet making business. We use the Booklet Maker for things such as funeral programs, or small multi-page brochures. So the Booklet Maker actually will gather all the pages inside the machine. The gathered pages go into the Booklet Maker. The machine then folds them, staples it, trims the 3 sides so the edges of the book look nice and clean, and then they come out the side of the machine all finished. So the Booklet Maker is just one of the add-ons on that machine, and it's really terrific for us, because in the past we would have to use multiple machines for the same job. So with the Booklet Maker that's attached to the digital press, the books look better. There's less labor. It's a lot quicker, and it's actually less expensive for the customer, because we don't have to use all these different pieces of equipment to create a book.
Wow, that's very.
Thank you.
It's impressive that you have all that to offer.
When you buy pieces of equipment, even if you're a landscaper, I suppose you buy the size lawnmower you need that fits your client base, and the way we configured the machine it's a good fit for what we have for business around here.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's great. Okay, Martin, I think you have the next question.
Yes. How has COVID-19 affected your business, and how you're operating now?
Oh, well, how did it? So I think we didn't have a really great year last year. However, we were an essential business. So we stayed open the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the tourism-based businesses didn't open at all last year, so that hurt us a little bit. But fortunately, because we have our sign business, that really picked up a lot of the slack. So a lot of the restaurants that had curbside pickup, or they wanted to put a big banner up that said, we suddenly deliver. We were able to stay in business and still make a living. We still did okay, but we had 28 years of growth, and then 1 year suddenly the scale went down a little.
Mm-hmm.
We still did pretty well. If I had to say anything about what COVID did to the business, and I think that did it to a lot of us, is I think it made us sort of reevaluate what we have, and how we do business, all of us. And I think that if I had to learn anything from COVID, I think I've always felt this way, but I think it's even more important now than ever before, is I think we all need to stay local and shop local.
Mm-hmm.
And because I think I was very fortunate. So everybody got paid, the rent's paid. There wasn't really any profit left, but we had a great year, and it just turned out to be just sort of a steady line going all the way across. But I have a lot of friends that didn't have a great year in business. Mm-hmm. And I say friends, they're partly clients and partly friends. But so I think there's a rebuild that's got to happen for a lot of businesses. And if anybody can take anything from this, don't buy everything through online items and stuff. Shop locally if you can. I do when I leave here. If I go out to dinner, or if I gotta buy a dishwasher or whatever, I shop with people who shop with me. So
well,
I don't know if that exactly answers your question.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. Yeah, that sounds good.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good advice. We should shop local and support.
Yeah, we should shop local. Yeah, all these other businesses around here, they have kids in our school system. They have friends that maybe are at the Olean Center or whatever. So I think that I think that's happening across the country. I think it's bringing communities. I think COVID is bringing communities a little closer. I think I think things started to sort of spread out a little bit. I think, businesses are like, well, Colin, your banner's, $90. I can buy it for $70, online, and you're buying it from somebody in Iowa, buying it from somebody who's paying taxes in Westerly, or, fixing up a building so Main Street looks great. And we don't put much effort into, we don't really have those kind of conversations because we don't ever want to make anybody feel guilty. But I think we should all stay local anyways.
Right. Yeah. Everyone needs to do their part and to make it happen. Yeah.
Yeah, and doing your part is shopping among the shops that we have in town.
Excellent. Thank you.
Sure.
Joe, I think you got the next question. You ready to go?
Yes. What do you like most about the Westerly community?
What do I like most about the Westerly community? First off, I think the Westerly community, just because of the demographics of this area.
Sonia working hard.
Yeah.
Somebody just made a smoothie.
That's cool.
Well, I think that just because of the way the area is laid out, I think that Westerly really includes a few other towns. I think it includes Pawcatuck, Mystic, Stonington, Ashway, Chelsea, just because we're in such close proximity. And I guess what I like mostly about this area is that we are really a community-based area. We have lots of events locally. The Ocean Community Chamber hosts a lot of events, and when you go to them, there's thousands of people there. And not all towns are like that. So I think it's a really, and I think this is probably a bank slogan, but it's a really hometown community, and that's what I like about it at the most. When I leave here and go to McQuaid's, it's filled with familiar faces. Everybody's hello. So that's what I like most about this area. I'm also born and raised here. My mom was an OR nurse at the Westerly Hospital for 35 years. And I don't know if anybody knew this, but my dad was actually a radio announcer for ERI.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he was the voice of Pat Donahue. Yeah. And for a time in the late 60s, early 70s, now everybody knows how old I am, but it was actually broadcasted out of the lighthouse in Watch.
Oh my.
Yeah. So born and raised. So like most people, I love my community that I live in. But I think, I think it's a really terrific community anyways, even if the perfect proof of this is when people transplant to here, and we see that a lot in my shop because, they come into town, they have to do documents with the bank or something like that. So we meet a lot of people here that are just moving here, and they all say, "Wow, this is really great."
Yeah. We're lucky.
We're lucky. We're very lucky. Yeah, we really are fortunate to live in this area.
Very great to know.
Did I answer that question, or did I go off on a rant? I'm not sure.
You did both, but it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to comment before Martin gives you the last question. You also serve on the board of directors for the Ocean Community Chamber, correct?
I am still on the board. I am
You are.
I'm on my second term. I think I'm about a year or two out from that ending, and I'm not sure. I would probably either have to move up to a different position or take 1 year off. I've really enjoyed being on the board. I've met a lot of nice people that became friends. When you're working with somebody at some of those events that I mentioned earlier, the duck race or the river glow, you spend 8 hours or 12 hours lugging wood around with somebody. You get to know them.
Sure.
And being on the board has been it's been good for me for business. It's been good for me personally, and they were a really great group of people. So
That's great. That's great. Good work. Good work.
thank you.
Yeah.
It's very collective.
Yes.
That's one thing about any organization. Well, probably even yours or the neighborhood center or Johnny Cake Center, all these nonprofits and stuff that we have in town. This is something that I've learned. It's a real collective effort. It's
Yes.
never just one person. It's really the group that makes it all happen. And that's one thing I've really learned being on the board, is that
That's great.
Hmm.
Okay,
Yeah.
Martin, you ready for the last question?
Oh, yes. What else would you like others to know?
Well, that I'm always here for advice to people if they're opening a new business. If somebody comes in here and, for instance, their work that they need is not a perfect fit for me, then I would certainly and always share any knowledge that I have with that person. Maybe guide them. In 30 years, I've seen thousands of people start up a business. And some of them are now today very, very successful, and others didn't make it for whatever reason. But along that journey, I've learned a lot. I've learned mistakes that I've made or that they've made, or things that they modified along the way. I think sometimes people start a business and we have an idea of what it's going to be. In Stonington, there's a coffee shop. It really, in the beginning, they thought they were going to be just like all smoothies and the type of drinks. And then everybody kept going in there and saying, "I want coffee. I want coffee. Do you have coffee?"
Oh,
A lot of people, they still want a triple berry, but they really, I says, "Well, Angelica, maybe you should really, add coffees early on, just partly because I love coffee."
Hmm.
I think if you go into a store that has a beverage, coffee should be part of it. And now 3 or 4 years later, she's actually taking her 3-berry items off the menu, and she's making more of a whole coffee shop. So,
Right.
what I'd like everybody to know? I'd like everybody to know that if you come in here, you get me 100%. If I can't help you, you'll still get me 100%, and I'll try and advise you the best I can based on all of the experiences that I've had in business. And then you can always, you can pop around, take a quick tour of the shop, and then, all the things that we talked about, the beautiful view or the equipment or everything, they might connect the dots a little better for everybody. So what I like everybody to know is you're always welcome here. It's bright and airy, and if I can't help you, we'll still chat, and then if I can, I'll do my best.
Sounds awesome. That's good.
Oh, great, thanks. And that includes you, by the way. Martin, you should stop in sometime.
All right. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Colin. Colin, it's been a nice broadcast, and it's been interesting learning all about your business and where you are and what you're doing. And thank you for your time, and we wish you well now and in the coming months. Yeah, and I think things will get better.
I believe they will, and I
Yeah.
believe that we're all starting to see it. And thank you so much for inviting me on. This was really fun. I didn't really know what to expect. I know you gave me a little list beforehand, but I got so busy I just read it about 10 minutes before we signed on. So here we are, and it was and you guys kept it really fun. So thank
That's
you very
great.
much for that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Mhm.
I'd also like to. I'm sorry. What was that?
And I said no, and thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Also, thank you to Martin and Joe for being great hosts, and a special thank you to Ben Barber for producing our broadcast today. And so please keep an eye on our Facebook for our next broadcast. John Layton will be here from the Westerly Sun next week as our guest. But, tune in. And if you happen to have missed the broadcast this morning, you can always view it on our social media pages. So enjoy the rest of your week. Stay safe and healthy. And
Well, that's it for now. We'll see you next time on The Beat.
all right. Thank you.
Thank you.